You know, I can't think of a more appropriate image for this particular show than the one we're showing right now. Did you plan that?
No.
That's amazing. I did. Did it even occur to you that that's where we're at now?
What do you mean?
The playing card of you.
Oh my god. I just got it.
You just what the hell? You not lady? Are you not paying
Oh my
attention?
god, I've been in classes
All
all
of my
day.
all of my good jokes,
My
all of my good
brain
material.
is fried.
All right. Well, very excited to talk about this movie. You picked this movie. I love this movie.
I love this
This is the
movie
third
too.
time I saw this movie, and every time I watch it, I love it.
Third?
Yeah, I saw it once on Netflix late at night.
You watched it when I was sleeping.
Yes, I did.
Typical. But
Well,
that's okay. It's a great movie.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs, and once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, and your sommelier of cinema, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I am honored to be a guest on the show that is you. And who are you?
I am Elysabeth Gwendolyn Belle. I am the ace, the arbiter of cinematic excellence, and the enchantress of entertainment.
And somebody said you were the, you know what? I forget. They said
I
it was
have a
a
new
great.
name
You have a
and you
new
forgot?
nickname. Yeah, something about the beauty of B movies or something. I don't know, something like that.
Very cool.
So there you go. It's in the comments section. I'll have to go find it. I'm sorry, I was remiss in not finding it before we went on.
Wow.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Elysabeth's Whining About Movies, episode 75.
75.
And tonight we are talking about Aaron Sorkin's directorial debut, Molly's Game, based on the book by Molly Bloom, former hopeful, Olympian hopeful, and
She went to the Olympics, didn't she?
No, she was qualifying. She never made it to the Olympics. And instead, she ran poker games in both Los Angeles and New York for very, very wealthy clients.
Yes, she did.
And yeah, she descended into madness. But it was Aaron Sorkin's first directorial debut. I think it's a fantastic movie, but we'll get to that. You know what we're going to get to first?
Wine.
Wine, ladies and gentlemen, wine. And this bottle of wine comes from the official couple of the Burnettwork, Claude and Candida. Now, this is a Côte du Duron.
We're almost at 30,000 subs.
Come on, what is it?
I'll be able to help you.
Côte du Rhône Villages. That's my French. That's what it is. And boy, does this look good. One damn, you know, I had this really long letter to and observations about Asian films, and every title came with the director's name. And I can't read anymore. I was massacring these great filmmakers' names, and I can't. It's terrible. I feel like Will Yang is watching me cringing, and I felt terrible. Anyway, we're gonna try this.
I mean, you kind of struggle over American names too.
Oh, come on, that's not true. Maybe a little. Well, here we go. Let's try this. Ooh. I like that.
That's lovely.
That's delicioso. That's my French, Italian, Spanish. Delicioso. Cheers to this movie, Aaron Sorkin's directorial
Cheers.
debut. I love Aaron Sorkin, first of all.
So do I.
I mean, he created The West Wing. He wrote The American President.
Yes.
And this film, from a cinematic standpoint, from an editorial standpoint, this film is wildly entertaining, and the patter of his dialogue is amazing. I think this is the first. And you pointed something out interesting. What did you say about this movie after I was lamenting the fact with Hunt for Red October they don't make enough adult-oriented?
Yeah, when you brought that up when we were talking about Hunt for Red October, this movie popped into my mind. This is a very intelligent, very well written movie. Excuse me. I don't have COVID.
I don't. You know what I have? I have smoke inhalation.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's bad. Today was bad. Anyway, so yeah, I thought this film. We went and saw this movie in the theater.
Did we see it in the
Yeah,
theater?
we saw. Remember, we went and saw it at the Americana.
Oh yeah.
We saw it at the Americana.
Yeah, I really like this film.
I really do like some. So, Elizabeth, what is this movie about?
So this is based on a true story of this person, this woman named Molly Bloom, who started off competing in snow skiing on a world level.
Yes, she comes from a family of father, mother. Kevin Costner plays her father, who's a famous. Well, he's a psychiatrist.
Yes.
He's also a professor. Pushes his kids very hard. 3 overachieving, 2 brothers and her.
Yeah, her brothers were actually Olympians, and one of the
Olympians,
brothers was actually a
Cardiothoracic surgeon, becomes a cardiothoracic surgeon.
Yes.
And the other was one.
These are really intelligent, very high achieving, very competitive people.
But Molly, growing up, always had a very adversarial relationship with her father.
She did.
Because he pushes her, and you don't really understand why she was bratty, but you see that. You see the beginnings of their relationship and how she acted.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, this movie, how do you feel about voiceover? Because this movie starts with voiceover.
You know how I feel about voiceover.
Well, I was going to ask you because the viewers at home and around the world perhaps might not.
I love narrated stories. I love narrated movies. So for me, I absolutely love the narration in this film. Now, when I was reading reviews, a lot of people hate the narration. They say it's over narrated. And I was like, I didn't get that at all. I absolutely loved it. What do you think?
I love voiceover narration. I mean, I understand in film school and film school 101, you can't have voiceover narration, but the thing is, this is her story.
It is.
And I think,
and she wrote a book, so it's really kind of like she's reading the book to us.
Right, it's so well done. As a matter of fact, one of the editors, this movie was edited by 3 people. One of the editors in this film is Elliot Graham, who edited Superman Returns with John Ottman. And I got to hang out with them in Australia, and
very cool.
every time I watch this movie for the third time, not every time, but 3 times, the editing, the way she's telling the story, the amount of coverage they have,
the pace is like
it's rapid
you're
fire.
You're never bored.
No,
the story moves along. It's a really intelligent story. I mean.
And she was going to go to law school. She's high achieving. She's going to go to law school, but after she had this horrible injury, 1 in a million injury, she struck up a piece of pine tree that was on the track she was qualifying for the Olympics on. She took a horrible tumble.
Yes.
And it ended her skiing career, and so she decided for a change of scenery, she moved out west.
She did. She wanted to take some time off before going to law school, which her father was against. But she rebelled against her father. So
her father was against her taking the time off.
Not going to law school. He wanted her to go directly to law school.
Do not pass go.
Do not pass go.
Do not pass dad. Go directly to law school, daughter.
But, she had competed her whole life, so she wanted some time off to just, be a teenager.
Yeah, but she was a college grad, and 22 years old.
And to be in the sun. So she goes to California and couch surfs at first. And then gets a job. She gets a job as a cocktail waitress.
Now, I have to say, I never remember the actor's name who plays her boss.
Oh, yeah. He's in...
now, you know what he's in? Can I just tell you what he's in?
Yeah.
The Big Short. And I love him. He's in Succession, too.
He's also in a show called... I forgot the name of the show. Surprise, surprise. As I don't ever remember anything. But I think it's on Amazon. What is his name?
His name is Jeremy Strong as
Yeah.
Dean Keith, the real estate developer who brings Molly into the world of underground poker. So she goes to work for a guy who flips houses.
I mean, she meets him because she's a cocktail waitress at this bar.
At she does bottle service, a high-end club.
Yeah, it's a high-end club.
Like these ridiculous douchebag high-end clubs where you spend $900 on a bottle of Grey Goose.
Yeah.
I've never understood these clubs at all. They're not fun.
It's for show.
I know, but it's still not fun.
It's to show off how much money you have, even though you don't, and you're going deeper and deeper in debt. So, let me see. She meets him at this club.
Yeah.
And he gives her a job.
He gives her a job working for his real estate firm.
And she's like his personal assistant.
Yeah.
And he is a dick.
Yeah, he's one of these guys that feels like he has to play this part. I have to play this particular role.
That's why he goes to that club.
Yeah, he goes to the club. I mean, it's all an affect. It's all douchebaggery, chicanery, and douchebaggery.
Yeah, and he treats her really badly, and he doesn't realize how intelligent she is. But she just takes it and takes it. And then one day he tells her that she's going to host his poker game. And this is her introduction into this world.
That's at one of the clubs on the Sunset Strip. I mean, all these locations are... And I don't know what it's supposed to be. I don't know if it's supposed to be the whiskey. I don't know which.
Think so.
I think I got
so.
I got the impression it's supposed to be whiskey.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know, backroom with the whiskey.
Yeah.
High-end poker games for rock stars, athletes, actors.
They have to. Their initial pay-in is $10,000. So she has to keep track of that. She has to keep track of, you know, she had to make sure that all the people he wanted invited were invited. And when he hands her the list, she can't believe the names on this list.
And Michael Cera is in this movie.
He is.
Playing, now, it's a composite of people, but we all kind of know it's supposed to be Tobey Maguire.
Right.
But it's an amalgamation of actors.
I have a Michael Cera story.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, when I lived in Los Feliz. Apparently he lives in Los Feliz or something, because one day I was making a turn onto Los Feliz Boulevard, and he started to cross in the crosswalk, and he was wearing a red backpack, and as I'm turning, I'm watching him, and I'm looking at him, and I'm going like this, and he turned around and looked at me and waved because he knew I recognized him.
I've met him before. He was a very nice guy.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice guy.
He was a very nice guy. He was nothing like... In this movie, he actually says at one point he likes to destroy lives.
He does, yeah, but I don't get that he personally is that kind of person.
No.
But who knew Tobey Maguire was, right?
Well, remember, it's a composite. He's Player X.
Okay. Player X. Okay.
Player X.
All right. So, so these famous people come to this poker game, and she's in charge of keeping track of the bank, basically.
Yeah, but she also learns the game. She's very smart.
She's paying attention to
she's
every
listening,
detail.
and she says she's Googling every term she hears that she doesn't understand, and she's really learning what's going on. And she had a dress from JCPenney's when she starts out, and Dean Keith says that dress is hideous. So are your shoes. Yeah. And so she starts learning how to doll it up.
Yep. She buys an expensive dress. And
the real Molly Bloom is quite attractive.
Yeah.
Just like Jessica Chastain is. And I like the growth. You know, they show her growth, and she goes very Hollywood, very upscale.
She does.
But this becomes, one year turns to the next, she starts getting tips. You know, he was paying her $400 and something a week. Then she makes $3,000 a night.
And then, like, she gets these tips from the poker players, and the tips are like huge. So,
but what's interesting, there's one thing about this movie that I thought was not the whole movie, but between their dynamic, at one point he says, before you leave here, you have to tip Molly, or you're not going to get asked back for the next game. And I'm like, as much of a dick as he is,
right, his
douchebaggery, he still took care of her then.
Yeah, but in the end, that's what gets her.
Well, yes,
fired.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But he set that up.
He did.
Look, because he was still he was on top of the world. He started this poker game.
Right. Having her here, there, like this beautiful girl, he saw how the poker players were paying attention to her especially Player X. And so that made him feel good until it didn't. Until they were really paying too much attention to her.
Well, and also as she later says, his real estate business sort of starts to go under.
Right.
He owes more on the houses than he's taking out too much money, and he's trying to live I saw this when I was younger a lot in LA when people are chasing this elusive dream where they want to fraternize with these people that are rich, like they're and they themselves are not. So they're pursuing this goal that really has no meaning. It is a dead end. You can buy into this celebrity world and think you're a part of it, but you're really not. It doesn't matter how much money you spend, and people get so enamored of it. Like, hanging out with celebrities does not get you anything.
No.
It doesn't get you anything. What gets you something is to become a celebrity on your own. If that's what you want to do, then other celebrities you just hang out with them because you don't have to pretend. You don't have to buy shit and make yourself seem like something that you're not. Because he was putting on a poker game, and as soon as his game was done, they would be out the door. They don't care.
That's true. Yeah. So as time goes on, like you said, he is running out of funds, and so he tells her that he's not going to pay her anymore to be his assistant, that her tips are enough.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that she's only making $495.
$400 a week.
But I love that she's standing on ceremony. She's like, I'm not going to now work for you for free. I'm not just because you're doing
Right.
Just because you're doing badly. I hear this all the time. I mean, I've done this to people. When I'm doing badly, I've told people, I'm like, well, I'm doing badly, I can't pay you. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, that's...
Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not their fault that you're doing badly.
Correct.
You either fire them or you or tell them that you have to let them go.
Yeah.
But don't hang them. Don't keep
Right,
people
and
hanging.
she was like at his beck and call 24/7. So she's like, I'm not going to work for you for nothing. So then the next week when it's time for a poker game, she's on her way there and gets a text from him saying, we've moved the poker game or something like that, or we don't need you, or something like that.
And this is after 2 years.
Yeah. And so she scrambles at first, but then she comes up with a brilliant plan.
Yeah, she knew what to do.
So he tells her to go and get her personal things from his office the next day, and so she says, before I even get there, I don't even want to see you. So the next morning she goes, and he already hired a different assistant, and the assistant said, I already packed up your things. So and so, what's his name?
Dean.
Dean wants you to give me the names and numbers so I can confirm for the poker game. And so she's like, oh, well, I forgot my phone in the car. And so I'll text you the names and numbers. So she takes her stuff and she texts her like bogus numbers and stuff. And then she texts all the poker players and invites them to a hotel room.
I think it's the Four Seasons or something, where you don't know which hotel, but she's set up. She's got a suite, and she's had poker tables custom, and she's got it all dialed. She's learned everything you need, and she's provided.
She has classed it up like way more than.
Yeah, they're not at the Rainbow anymore.
No, like she gets like the most expensive drinks, and like and she's dressed classy, and it's like in a classy place.
And she hires women, other attractive women.
Yes, but these are very intelligent.
Yeah.
Very accomplished women.
And even when they're playmates, they can write code.
Yes.
So she finds, and which, by the way, I mean, I have to say, I love her for this. Like, when I'm watching this movie, how did you feel about her as a character? Because
she's great.
Yeah, at this point in the movie, I am so with her. I'm like, she's a fucking hero, this woman.
She's a baller.
She is a baller. She's got clanging brass balls. She surrounds herself
with other women ballers.
Yeah, other women ballers. I mean, I would say that...
Which is the way to do it.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, sure, she's treading on her looks, but it's all about her intelligence. She totally controls this. I mean, and she doesn't take a rake, so, she's not... She's
doing this completely above
board.
It's legal what she's doing. She even checks with the lawyer. Like there's no, unless she's taking money from, I don't even know what they called it, then she's legal. Like it's all legal.
Yeah, she's not skimming off the top.
She's not skimming
off
the top.
Like, yeah. And she'll cover, she'll put up the money if she doesn't have if the bank doesn't have enough, she'll cover it. But and what's interesting is she's got people. She's like, if you want to come back to the game, find me 5 more players. And she's going and she's scouting the local poker halls.
Yeah.
I mean,
and she makes deals with these cocktail waitresses that if you bring me these poker players, the high rollers, you will get a reward of $1,000.
Yeah.
And $500 for every time they come back.
Mm-hmm.
But the day that she sets this up, the poker players show up and they're like, "Where's Dean?" And she immediately says, this is, what did she say? Something brilliant. Like, and they are all like,
well, she's
like, you can either go back and play poker with Dean, or you can stay here and play poker here.
Right.
And player X is like, okay, let's play.
Right, yeah, and because, I mean, clearly they have no loyalty to him. These guys are not interested in where they play. They're interested in who they're playing. They want the action. They want and now
plus,
they're...
Player X is basically obsessed with her.
Obsessed with her, but also everybody else is obsessed with playing with Player X.
Right.
And so you've got all these high rollers and different kinds of people. And here's another thing I really liked about this film is that they have all these great character actors coming in and playing these roles.
Yes.
And Michael Cera is really Machiavellian through the whole, like really Machiavellian. And you're like, you're already some famous actor. Perhaps you're playing Spider-Man. Who knows? Why do you have to be this way?
Mm-hmm.
But it is. He's got he's already a celeb. He's got the juice. This is what he likes to do. He likes to like she says in the movie.
Point, like you said, he even says, "I like destroying people."
Yeah, I like destroying people's lives. He wants to make sure if there's a big fish that comes in, and a whale, pardon me, that they can clean out, he'll do it.
Right, and Molly has to keep feeding him these players to keep him happy.
Yeah.
Which she does.
Yeah, which she does, and it's great.
Yeah.
I really, again, this movie is wildly entertaining, and it does go in and out of time. It's not totally linear.
Right.
So we're also jumping forward where she's in New York City, and she's been busted. She's in big trouble, and she's been taken down, and we don't know what's happened to her.
Well, they do tell us that that the FBI is accusing her of consorting with the Russian mob.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
And being a part of that whole thing.
Yeah. They want to get her up on racketeering charges and all this stuff, and
they seized her money.
But they seized her money 2 years after she stopped running games.
Right.
So you don't know. So you're going back and forth. So you see the present day, and most of the stories told in flashback. And then she tries to go find a lawyer, and she winds up meeting.
She only has 2 days to find a lawyer in a different state.
In New York City, right?
Yeah.
And she finds Idris Elba. Now, I have to say, everybody likes Idris Elba. I've loved Idris Elba since The Wire, when he played Stringer Bell. And I didn't know he was British. You never knew. He's like Idris Elba is just one of these, like, if you talk about like a matinee idol, I think he's one of the most good-looking men working in films today. But I love his voice.
Oh yeah, everything about him.
And the character that he plays, you would literally call him lawful good. If you were playing a role-playing game, he would be lawful good because he's raising his daughter. I don't know if he's a single father, but he gives his daughter homework assignments, and he's bringing her up right. And he is truly on the straight and narrow. He will not put up with her shit. He doesn't trust her. He doesn't believe her as any good lawyer does.
He doesn't want to be her lawyer.
But the scenes with them, the two of them, are electric. Every single exchange is peak Aaron Sorkin writing, and Idris Elba is so... You just want him to be your friend.
Yeah.
Like, he's the ultimate... He's like the Gandalf of the New York... the New York law firms or whatever. He's a badass. I mean, he's so good in this movie.
He is.
I love him in this movie.
Actually, I think that all the acting is really great in this movie.
It's all great in the movie. Kevin Costner is incredible in this movie.
Yeah.
But peak Idris Elba. And, normally he's not playing a good guy. I mean, sometimes he does, but he's always playing like he's the evil dude in The Gunslinger. Or actually, he was Roland Deschain, so he's the good guy in The Gunslinger. But he was an evil drug dealer. Now he's right on the flip side of that. And their scenes are, like, I could watch them all day long just talking to each other in character.
Yeah, I mean, when you put two intelligent people together, it's really great.
Yeah.
The conversation is great.
Love it.
The back and forth is amazing.
And he's read her book. By this time, she's already published her book about this whole thing, where she's named certain names, named people, but she's only named people because they were named in a different indictment.
Right.
And by the later we find out there's an informant. So she's had to leave her game. She now has her new game that she's set up, and she is riding high on the hog. She's making money. So what happens?
Yeah, so it all comes crashing down when...
Well, no, I mean, she has it going for a while, like 6 years.
Well, I don't know that
No, it's
long.
like 2 years, and then she was doing her game like for 8 years in LA.
Was it that long?
Yeah, I think it was. I don't think it was
2
years.
That long.
Yeah, I think it was 8 years. I think it was.
Maybe 6. And so, wait, how does she lose the game?
Well,
it's like all of a sudden she pissed off Player X somehow.
Well, yeah, I mean, but also there were people that she fought. So all these shenanigans go on. She gets all these people. One of the players has a complete meltdown, who's a really good player, and loses all his money. And then she finds out that Michael Cera had been staking him.
Right.
Which is illegal.
No, he was staking...
He was staking
that guy.
And also another one of their players, Bad Brad. Bad Brad turns out to
lost.
He's like a Bernie Madoff character.
He always lost, but it didn't matter to him because he was getting money from the other
people
players for his foundation or whatever.
No, he was a complete swindler. He was, and like Bernie Madoff.
Yeah, and he was making off with all that money, even though he was losing every game. But he's the one, he won by accident against the good player, who then just spiraled out of control.
Yeah, and one night he lost like $1.5 million.
Yeah, and he couldn't pay it because he didn't have it.
He didn't have it, and then Michael Cera,
paid that off.
Player X, Tobey Maguire, staked him.
Yeah.
Which violates everything to keep her running a clean game. Because the whole point is that she's running these poker games, but she's doing them just inside the law.
Yeah.
So she can't, but when something like this happens, it completely compromises her. And then Player X basically...
She confronts him, and he's like, well, we'll have to play poker with you, basically. Right. And then the next week... He fucks her entirely. He texts her and says, oh, we're going to play poker with Dean. Don't bother coming. So that was it. That was it.
In one night, going against, I mean, as much as capable as she was, as good as she was, the people that wield the money and the power can crush you.
Yep. And she spiraled into depression. And then after 2 weeks of that, decides that she's just going to go to New York.
She's going to go to New York because New York has a whole different group of people.
Yes. People with way more money.
Way more money. The buy-in's now $250,000.
She gets there and she sets up these games.
And everything, I mean, she walks into New York knowing...
That's when she really, connects with these really intelligent, beautiful women who find the poker players for her.
And these women have also been working these poker games. They know.
They know.
And also, the thing about New York is, it's old school. You've still got vestiges. Obviously, the mob plays a big part in this, the Russian mob, and then we've got. I mean, obviously, L.A. is one thing, and there are a lot of rich people here.
There are.
But there's a lot of really, because I mean. The world capital of finance, at least one of them, but I like to think the biggest one, is in New York.
Yeah.
And that's the place. That's the place everybody goes. And so the people, the class of people that she has, I mean, she was going to places up in the Hamptons where there was big charity events to find people.
Yes. So she got a lot of big fish to come and play.
But with big fish... and $250 million or $250,000 buy-ins, the life gets hard.
Yeah, because she's running so many poker games, and now she's making millions of dollars. So she feels compelled to play, to have all these games running all the time, and she starts taking drugs to stay awake.
Yeah, it starts with Adderall. She's a little Addy addict, and then she graduates to
And then more and more
she's
and more
doing
drugs.
blow.
She's doing all kinds of drugs.
And in New York, you can get the best drugs.
Just to stay awake and survive and run these games that are making her a lot of money. And so she starts faltering, and because she's just strung out.
She's strung out.
And one of the dealers who she recruited, this really intelligent woman, starts advising her that, you're taking a lot of risks. I mean, there's a lot of money on the table, and if somebody can't pay, that's on you. That's millions of dollars that's on you. So you need to
take a rake.
Yeah.
Rake off some of those off the table.
To protect yourself.
Yeah.
So she's like, just signal me when you decide you want to do this. And at one point the stakes are $3 million, and she signals her, and that's the moment that the illegal stuff.
Yeah, she's crossed the line. She's taken a rake in the game,
point.
Which means that she's now committed a fraud.
Yeah.
Well, not fraud, but it's bookmaking, it's criminal.
Right.
It's not bookmaking either. But
So from that point on, it starts spiraling, and she, at one point, one of her players confesses that he's in love with her. He's always drunk, and he confesses that he's in love with her, and but he also talks about another poker game.
Well, everybody knows that the biggest poker game is the Jews in Brooklyn.
The Russian Jews.
The Russian Jews in Brooklyn that they.
And he's like always saying, "I'm the only Irishman that they'll allow to play," and so she's like, "Well, at one point, after he confesses that he's in love with her, she's like, "Can you get these players to my game?" And he's like, "No, they won't play with you. You're Irish." And she's like, "I'm not Irish. I'm Russian Jew." Yeah, right. And so
could happen. Molly Bloom, sure, why not?
Bloomfield?
Why not? I think she is Jewish.
I don't think she is.
I don't know. We'll have to read her book.
Anyway, so
we are the chosen people, after all.
That's true. So he does end up bringing these Russian Jews to the table, and that's when things get crazy.
Well, what she doesn't know is now that she's letting more of these people in, she's basically, there's 3 different parts of the mafia that are different branches of organized crime. The Russian mafia, there's all kinds of people that she's involved, because she doesn't know. She doesn't know that.
She doesn't know that they're connected to the mob.
No.
Because
they don't seem that way.
She's just, she just sees these.
But what's interesting is she's a girl that went from the Olympics to LA. And the thing is, it's kind of like what happened to Michael Corleone when he tried to go legit in Godfather 3 with International Immobiliare. He didn't understand that he's trying to go to Europe and go legit with these people, but they're hundreds and hundreds of years ahead of him. Like he's cool, but so Molly Bloom thinks she's got it all dialed. But now she's in
Also, she's strung out, so she's not even thinking about that.
But she's in a much older situation where she's never had to deal with organized crime the way it is in L.A. This is true organized crime that goes way, way back.
Not only that, it's like, okay, so now she has these Russian mobsters, which she doesn't know they're Russian mobsters, at her table, but her driver, who she trusts and even says she's friends with, one day says, "I want you to meet a couple of people who would love to come to your game." So she's like, okay. So because she likes him and trusts him, she's like, okay, I'll meet with them.
But she also apparently has never watched a mob movie before.
How is she supposed to know her driver would set something up like that? She thought he was her friend.
Well, yeah, but he was her friend. But you're in New York, and everybody's connected with something, and she should have, and she does. She meets him.
She meets them, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want to play. We want to protect you."
Yeah, they want protection money, which is the oldest.
They want to get her money because she's like $2 million out there floating around.
And they know how much she's got. They know how much money that she has on the street that people owe her.
Right.
So they've done their research, like right then and there. What's interesting, and I want to read this in her book. Like anybody who's seen any mob movies,
love to read that book.
We gotta get the book. Anybody who's read or watched any mob movies knows that she's in real trouble now, because she's on the mob's radar, and she basically tells them to fuck off. She's like,
but
I don't need your help.
She doesn't even realize,
but it's not because she's high. It's because she's in a deeper end of the pool that she's ever been in.
She doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
So for everything, and this is what I love about this movie, like. I, as a viewer, as an astute viewer and follower of mob movies my whole life, I'm like, I
guess she didn't watch mob movies.
Yeah, apparently she never saw The Godfather. She never saw Goodfellas. She never saw Casino. She never saw Donnie Brasco. She is not a friend of ours.
She's not
a friend of ours. So she's in real trouble. And I'm like, oh, like she didn't even know who to go to. She thinks, oh, I had this nice meeting.
I
cool.
don't need your
Bye.
protection. I'm fine the way I am. And
that's Christmas Eve. Everyone's going home. She goes to her own building.
She goes and she's going to take a break for 2 weeks, and she's exhausted and she wants to get off the drugs and just lay low for 2 weeks. Goes home. The doorman says...
The doorman of her nice posh apartment.
Which,
by the way, no, because nobody, if you're a fucking doorman at a high end, anybody can pay you off.
No, you're supposed to be protecting your... You have to see that person every goddamn day.
Are you kidding me?
I couldn't believe he did that.
Everyone has a price. Someone walks up, it's Christmas.
No,
Hey, here's
not in a fancy
$10,000.
building like that.
Nope, he just keeps his mouth shut. What's she gonna say?
What a dick. He's like, oh, I have packages for you in the package room. I will bring them up. She's like, okay. She goes up. She starts running a bath. And then there's a knock at the door.
And the equivalent of Luca Brasi comes in and beats the shit out of her.
Beats the shit
robs
out
her,
of
makes
her.
her open her safe.
Stuffs a gun in her mouth.
Stuffs her. I mean, the phallic imagery there is hardcore. Kicks her, beats the shit out of her.
It is brutal. This big, huge guy beating the shit out of her. It made me so angry.
No, it's pretty horrifying.
Yeah. So,
and by the way, that guy, whoever, again, the actor, the cast, perfect casting, like total mob enforcer dude. Like if you were to go to look up mob enforcer in the dictionary, his picture would be there. Perfect casting.
Yeah, like straight out of the
The
Sopranos.
Luca Brasi of the early aughts.
So he beats the shit out of her, steals her money. I think it's like $2 million. And her jewelry, and leaves, and she is a mess, but she doesn't want to go to the hospital. She can't go to the hospital, and so she just mends herself at home, and she's all bruised up. And after 2 weeks, like, her poker players are like, when's the game? We want to play.
So she's gonna set up the game.
So she puts makeup on her bruises and sets up the game, and as she's getting ready, like, her people have already started the game, so they're already playing, and she's getting ready, and she gets a call from one of her from the guy who's in love with her, the Irish
guy that plays with the Russian
which
Jews.
I love that actor.
Well, yeah, because he's in Get Shorty.
I love that show, by the way.
I know you do. And
where's the next season?
Chris O'Dowd.
That's
Douglas Downey.
I love him, and I love Get Shorty, the show. Anyway, he calls her, and he's like, I'm hiding in the bathroom, and he's really drunk, because he's always drunk, and he's going on and on about how he would never give her up, he would never, like...
And he's basically confessing, I'm an FBI informant.
Yeah.
And I haven't given you up, and then her other people, she gets a text from her other girl that says the FBI has raided the game, and she thinks she's caught. She bails.
She immediately packs up some stuff.
And she
and
leaves.
Her money, and she is out of there.
She's out of there.
And on her way to the airport, she thought she'd be arrested the moment she thought that the lobby would be full of FBI agents, but they weren't there. So she goes to the airport, checks her bank account, and it is zero. There was $4 million in there. It is zero. There's a message, call the Justice Department. Right. So she leaves. She goes to her mom, and then she finds out that she is. And she's there for like 2 years. Right. Yeah, I mean, she hasn't run a game in 2 years. She goes home, and then she gets indicted. Yes. She gets indicted as part of a massive New York law enforcement operation against these 3 branches of the mob. Mm-hmm. And they're convinced because they have things where people are talking about, we got to get Molly, get me Molly. Yeah, the texts. So they think when people really want, if anybody knows anything about partying and MDMA and ecstasy. Where's Molly? Get Molly, bring Molly. Bring Molly. And so they think the prosecutor thinks, oh, look, why are they begging for you to be there? And she's like, that's ecstasy. Yeah. So it turns out that they believe that there's nobody who's this well connected, who knows this many Russian mobsters and this many different other mobsters. You have to be doing something. Yeah. And she's not. The irony is that she really wasn't. Not. She was just running a game. She was taking rakes. I mean, she eventually took. She was, and she admits it. She's like, when I was like strung out, I started doing this, but then I just ended it. I didn't want it to be part of it anymore. So, but Idris Elba has come to really like and respect her. Yes, and one thing that he did ask her for was her hard drive that had every text message, every email that she ever had. And sent. She got it. And she gave it to him. She did, but she didn't want to because she didn't want to reveal people's secrets. No, but he read it all. He did. And he promised her that he would not release that information. But in reading it all, he gained even more respect for her. He did.
because of all the stuff that she knows, and he realized you could fuck some of the most powerful people in the country.
She could.
You could ruin lives, but you're not going to. You're not interested in extortion. You wanted to run your game and do your business, and you actually...
She didn't want to destroy these people's lives.
No, and their families and their kids.
But come on, these are slimy people.
Well, look, I think what's really interesting...
I need to read the book because I want to know if that really was part of it. Like, she really didn't want to, because in the end, like, she even decides that she'd rather go to jail than reveal this information.
Well, because she does say that all I have left is my name and my reputation, and if, she loses that, I mean, and this, by the way, is coming from her father, and throughout all this, we have flashbacks of her life, her young life with her dad, and she really does treat her dad badly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of...
Because she senses that...
Well,
Okay.
So
we'll get to that point.
So she hasn't really talked to her dad in a long time, and so it's come to a head. She's going to go to jail.
She's going to go to jail.
She's going to plead guilty and go to jail. And Idris Elba is like trying to help her, and it's their relationship is great.
Great speech.
Well, that's later. Okay. So he's meeting with the New York prosecutor, this guy that Idris Elba used to work with. This guy.
Yeah.
And they're now on opposite sides of the fence, and he's again great casting.
Yes.
And he is like super douchey, trying to make a name for himself.
He's grilling her and asking her, and
then Idris Elba gets up and gives an Al Pacino-esque speech.
He does.
About
defending her.
Defending her. I mean, it is, when people look at Al Pacino's great speeches like in Any Given Sunday or in and Justice for All, you're out of order. The whole court is out of order. Idris Elba is right up there with great speeches on this movie. Because he defends her.
I mean, the speech was great.
Great.
And so then the prosecution says, we want to talk to you. And they ask Molly to leave. So she leaves, and she goes to the skating rink.
Yeah, I mean, she thinks
Central
this is
Park.
the night. This is basically the night before her execution.
Yeah.
She's gonna plead guilty and go to jail.
She's just like completely now like having a nervous breakdown.
She's having a nervous
So
breakdown.
she goes to the
skating rink outside.
Doesn't have any money. Gives her $800 Chanel gloves just to borrow some skates.
Did you feel pain at that?
It was so hurtful. I was like, oh, the Chanel gloves. First of all, you're gonna need that when you're on the ice. And yeah, wow. Even the girl behind the desk was like, are you okay, lady?
Yeah, it's great.
So anyway, she gets the skates and she starts like speed skating, and the security of the skating rink is like, slow down, lady. And she's like, catch me. And so she starts like skating around, and then she sees her dad. And she's like, Dad? And then she trips over somebody.
Yeah, like her dad, and you wonder, is that some drug-induced hallucination,
Yeah,
even though she's been clean or whatever? And it turns out
he came to see her.
He came to see her, and there's this. I think this is a great scene. So they sit
Funny
down.
because a lot of the reviews are like, this scene was so contrived and blah blah blah, and I was like, whoa, this was a great scene.
Yeah, I thought it was a great scene.
Because it really like puts together like her whole issues with her dad.
Yeah, and what I loved about it, he goes, I'm going to give you 3 years of therapy in 3 minutes. And what's so funny about it is, he does.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, he gets a therapist.
He's like, you ask me 3 questions.
Yeah, and he already knows what the 3 questions are, and one of them he even baits her at
He's like,
first.
you have to ask it.
Yeah, you have to. But one of the first question is wrong.
Right.
And it's so great, and he basically, it comes down to the fact that you knew that I was cheating on your mother. And
she's like, I didn't know until I was 20, and he's like, no, you knew when you were 5.
But what I love about it is it shows that Kevin Costner is the ultimate baller psychiatrist. He knows what's up.
Yeah.
And he loves his daughter, but it's rough. I mean, you see that they've had a tough. But I love the scene, and here's what's funny. I mean, it's a fucking movie.
It's a movie.
It's a movie like this. And when I read reviews of this film, and what's funny is this is one of those movies that gets better with age. Like, not me getting older, but the more I watch the film. And, when you go see this film...
It's not that old. It's from 2000.
No, but I know. But I mean, but when people are looking
I know
at
what
it...
you're saying.
I find that people today, audiences today, they are very... they already have these set paradigms that they want everything to fit into.
Right.
So they don't take joy or appreciation in what this film is really doing. Like if this movie came out in the 70s, I think people would say, "Oh, this is a classic. This movie's a classic."
Yeah.
But nowadays, everyone is so used to tropes and TV and all that they look at this stuff and everyone's so deeply cynical about everything. They don't. You can choose. This
So
movie
annoying.
is for me. It's like, okay, you have to have this cathartic moment where the father and the daughter get together.
Absolutely.
You could do it any number of ways. Like he could have come out on the skates and skated with her, and they were in tandem finally for the front. That's some stupid shit. But I really like. By the way, as an editor, the scene. If you watch the editing when they go back and forth between the coverage between Kevin Costner and his face never matches. His face is either turning this way. It's never exactly correct. It doesn't. It's Thelma Schumacher editing. It's awesome. No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because you're into it. It bothers me, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there were other moments where when she's in the office with the lawyer and he's writing on the whiteboard and he writes P, the three P's, and every time they cut back to it, it's written differently. I noticed that.
Yeah, well, because now you're a film student.
I've always noticed things like that, though.
Well, there you go. Good girls. That's why girls are better script supervisors than men are. By the way, I mean that too. If you want a great, it's not to denigrate male script supervisors, but I think women are better script supervisors than men. Just saying. Watch this. I'm gonna get a bunch of hate mail.
I notice little details.
Well, because women are detail oriented.
Yeah.
I mean, you notice that shit. There's stuff I never see.
I notice all kinds of things.
A great
in movies.
script supervisor. Give me a female script supervisor, and I can conquer the world.
I mean, I specifically look at every detail to see if it's like consistent. It's just something I do. Just like Amelie.
Just like Amelie, it's absolutely. So, what happens?
Okay, so
So
she,
the father
she has a
father
moment
daughter
with her-
reconciliation.
Yes, and then she ends up going back to the lawyer's office, and he tells her that they have another deal for her.
Mm-hmm.
And the deal is she can get her $4 million plus interest, so $5 million back, if she were to give up all her hard drive.
All the names, the hard drives.
Yeah, with all that stuff on it. And she says no.
She says no.
Nope.
She's a woman of integrity, and in a way, when Idris Elba delivers all this, he's always testing her. Like, I wonder what you're gonna do. Mm-hmm. Which I love. I love because his daughter loves her. His daughter read her book. His daughter thinks she's a hero, and he doesn't want to admit that his daughter's right. Like he's constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Well,
which,
I think at this point, like he really believes in her.
Right.
And he knows that she's not going to take this deal. He knows.
But he has to present it.
He does. He knows. And so she tells him that she's going to plead guilty. And so they go to the court, and the judge goes through all this stuff to make sure she really knows what she's doing, and then finally she pleads guilty. And
okay. It's like this is the showdown at the OK Corral when she goes to the and Graham Greene from Dances with Wolves, a Native American actor, an indigenous person who I love. It's like every time he's in a movie, I love him, and he's the judge. He's the judge that's going to decide her fate.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, so he's going to sentence her now and says...
And what he reads all... Yeah, it's like 77 things she has to answer.
Right. And then she pleads guilty. And so it's time for sentencing, and he tells the lawyers to approach the bench.
The prosecutors.
Well, then they all do, and then he sends Idris Elba back. He's like, not you. And so he talks to the prosecution, and then he says, they go back, and he says, I'm going to go against the advice of the prosecution, and I am not you're there, no jail time.
He's like we are feet away from Wall Street.
Yeah.
And all these brokers, they do what they do in a day you've never done. They do more crimes in a day. This is ridiculous. You've not done anything. You don't work for the mob. I mean, now I don't know if this part's true, but I want to believe. I mean, it's ultimately like the Deus Ex Machina of the story. But I think it's great. I think that I love it. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that the judge says you have to pay a $250,000 fine, and you have to do 200 hours of community service, but no jail time. This is all bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. And they all can't believe it, and so she's so relieved. Yet she owes. Oh, and the IRS has now taxed the money that they took from her. So she owes them $2 million plus the $200,000 fine that the judge gave her. And she has no job, and she probably won't be hired by anybody, but she's just so relieved that she doesn't have to go to jail.
Yeah.
And that's basically how it ends.
That's how it ends. So, Elizabeth, what do you think of this movie?
I love this movie.
I love this movie. Why do you love it?
It's really intelligent. The pacing is great. The dialogue is fantastic. The writing is just amazing. The acting is superb. I love this movie. I'm just fascinated by every aspect of it. The poker games, the courtroom scenes. It's all even the skiing.
All of it. I mean, what I love about this film, one of my favorite things in movies is when, maybe it's the documentarian in me, when you learn how things work. Like the beginning of the first hour of Martin Scorsese's Casino, where they explain how Las Vegas works, is endlessly fascinating.
Right.
And this movie does the same thing with the whole idea of setting up these poker games, and he does a really good job from an anthropological perspective showing you all these people, because it'll introduce, here's a new character. I met him at the out by the airport and you get snippets of who all these people are, and like every person has a story to tell, and here are the stories. It's so, I really like it. I
Plus, I'm pretty good at poker.
Oh, you are pretty good at poker, actually. You are. I've seen you clean out somebody that thought was much.
Somebody who plays poker weekly, and I play poker occasionally.
Man,
one time I won when I never hardly ever played.
You whooped his ass, and it was not.
He was so mad, and in fact, he was engaged and they got married
to a friend of yours.
Yeah, a very close friend.
We didn't get invited. Everyone else got invited to the wedding.
We never received a wedding invitation.
No.
And I wonder to this day, is it because I won at poker?
Yes. Because he's from a misogynistic, patriarchal, it's fine.
I just think that's funny.
Well, so Molly's game, big thumbs up, but we have letters.
Yay,
we have letters. We have a few letters. And this first letter comes from Cardinal Sin Gil Babel. Gil, how are you? I owe him emails. Hey, Laser Bob. I'm wearing a Lasers t-shirt. Hey, Laser Bob. You know what they did to Laser Bob? If someone paid you to watch Cuties, I did pay you to watch The 7 Faces of Dr. Lau with Elysabeth, Gwendolyn, Belle, the Ace. I sent you a $5 super chat months ago, and it's available on Amazon for $3. It's an amazing movie written by Charles Beaumont, who I have books by him. One of my personal heroes of science fiction, as he should be, and it has a magical, optimistic, and positive outlook that not only very much is up your alley, but I think Elysabeth, Gwendolyn, Belle would really enjoy it. It could even be a Friday night romantic film. Please watch this on Whining About Movies. Tony Randall is superlative in all the different roles, and it would make me very happy to see the two of you talk about the film. We do owe him. All right.
We do. He didn't just send us $5. Previous to that, he sent $20 for a bottle of wine and this film.
Oh, he did? Well, there you go. All right. Well, Gil, we'll do it. And then we'll buy the rights to American Flag. It'll be fine. Yes. So we're going to do that. Now, this letter comes from Bob Connolly. Hi, Rob and Elizabeth. Really excited that you did an episode about The Hunt for Red October. This is the first movie I ever saw at a drive-in when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
Well, I saw right up until about the time Ramius murders the political officer. Sadly, I fell asleep shortly after that because it was late and I was a little kid. But in the years since, I have watched it many times, and it's one of my favorite, most purely entertaining movies. I've often thought of this as the ultimate popcorn movie for smart people. It also is maybe the ultimate popcorn movie about smart people. I love that pretty much every character is really good at his job, just like Star Trek, and when you're talking about guys who work on nuclear subs, they'd better be. There are no lower decks on these boats. There's no lower decks anywhere. And the idea that there are on Federation starships is a really fucking dumb idea. Anyway. Oh, wait. Am I talking about Star Trek? I'm sorry. One of my favorite aspects about the film, as well, is that Jack Ryan does not become Action Man in the final act. Given his history, it makes sense that he would have some proficiency with a firearm, but Alec Baldwin plays Ryan's reaction to being handed a gun perfectly. He's not afraid of it, nor does he become Colonel John Matrix from Commando. Nice reference. He reacts like someone who knows how to use one while making it very clear that this is not a normal day for him. I thoroughly enjoy this movie, and every time I watch it, which is about once every year or two, and no matter how many times I see it, it's like a punch in the gut when Borodin is killed. I would very much have liked to have seen Montana. Gets me every time. A few years ago, when visiting my brother in San Diego, I got a tour of a couple of Cold War-era subs, and it was fascinating how vastly different the American and Soviet subs were from each other. While a submarine is hardly a luxury hotel, the American sub was downright spacious compared to the cramped, miserable conditions of the Soviet boat. I can't say I was surprised, but I was fascinated. Thanks for reading my letter, and have a good night.
Very cool.
Well, there you go. There's our 2 letters.
2 letters.
And let's see what you guys are saying. Not much tonight, but let's see what we got. Gills. Hello, Rob. I started my Cardinal Sin YouTube page. Could you shout it out and put the link in the chat, please? Well, first of all, Gil, you know what? I cannot shout out the Cardinal Sin YouTube page. I don't like to give out endorsements, so why would I give out endorsements to the Cardinal Sin YouTube page? And if there was a Cardinal Sin YouTube page, I couldn't endorse it, nor could I just randomly throw it into the live chat like that. So the Cardinal Sin YouTube page is not something that we here at Whining About Movies can endorse. However, if you would, if anyone would like to check out the Cardinal Sin YouTube page, I might have accidentally just cut and pasted that link into the live chat. So please, at your leisure, don't go to the Cardinal Sin YouTube page and check it out, because I don't want people to think we are playing favorites here on this show. Connie T. Is this our Connie? Connie T says, really loved Molly's game and unexpectedly burst into tears when I watched the ice rink scene between Molly and her dad.
Yeah.
I recall having to pause the film and have a good cry. Well, that's because it's a great scene.
It's a really great scene.
It's a great scene. So, well, listen, that brings us to the end.
Okay.
Of the show. So we have to come to our bottoms up.
Our bottoms up.
Our bottoms up scale.
So our bottoms up scale is from 1 to 4 glasses.
1 to 4 glasses of wine, and on a bottoms up scale of 1 to 4 glasses of wine, what would you give this movie?
I will give this movie 3.75.
3.75. I'm going to give this 3.5.
Okay.
3.5 glasses of wine.
There you go.
There you go. So, I love this film. It's an intelligent movie. It moves like a gunshot. It's very well made. I really like it.
I love it.
So,
I think everyone should watch it.
Everyone should watch it. By the way, this wine has great legs.
It's so good.
I have a question then. So, Friday is Romance Friday.
Right.
And I want to know, like, are we watching a movie on Friday?
We are.
And what is our movie on Friday?
I forgot the name. Because I haven't eaten all day, and this wine is getting to me.
Wait a minute. You forgot the name. We're supposed to announce a movie for Friday, and you forgot the name.
Hold on.
How is that?
It's actually one of your favorite movies.
It's one of my favorite movies, and is it The English Patient?
No.
Oh. Is it When Harry Met Sally?
No. It's the young guy who goes
The young guy who goes, we're in outer space?
He follows the band around. What is it?
Almost Famous! Almost Famous! Are we watching Almost Famous? Oh
Yes.
my God! It's it's the perfect week because it is the 20th anniversary of Almost Famous.
Oh my God! I seem to always do that.
It is, and Camera Crow unpacked almost. Oh my God! And we're watching the director's cut.
Okay, director's cut of Almost Famous.
We're watching the untitled version on. Oh my God! Top 10 of my movies. The little guy who goes and falls. How do you not know that? One of my favorite.
I just.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Everyone's making fun of me now. Come on, man. I was in classes all day.
You were. By the way, you should.
I ate one meal today. And
tell
I've been
everybody
drinking wine.
today was your second day in class. So
Yeah.
tell the people at home what's going on now.
Well, this semester I'm taking.
Well, pretend people don't know.
What do you mean?
They don't know about what you're doing in school.
Oh, I'm in school.
Okay, where are you in school?
I'm at the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena.
One of the most prestigious art schools in the country.
Yes.
And you got in with a scholarship.
Yes.
Now, what are you doing there? Why are you going back to school? You know, as a mom, you've raised 2 teenage girls. Why go back to school?
Well, it's 30 years ago, I went to art school. And
It's 30 years ago today. Sergeant Pepper told the band to play.
Yeah, so
It was
now
not even 30 years ago. It was
later,
earlier than that.
I am now back in school to get my degree in fine art. And this semester, I'm taking 19 units. So
You're taking 19 units?
19. I have 6 classes, and they're all studio classes, except for one. And so I am
Normally you take
super
12
busy.
to 16 units.
Yeah.
I did that at USC. It was it nearly
19.
killed me.
It's going to kill me.
I did 20 units and it was not.
And they're studio classes, so it's a lot of. These classes are 5 to 6 hours long each.
And you, by the way,
today I had 2.
By the way, the old
With only an hour in between.
the old
And then-
Observatory,
and
which
then
is
as
our
soon as
laundry
my
room.
class was over, we came on the show.
We came on the show like right away. So where I was doing this show from originally
Yeah.
was in that little, I'll call it the antechamber between where the laundry
Yeah,
room
but
is.
it's a pretty sizable room.
No, it's a sizable room, and you've turned it into a beautiful studio.
Oh my God, I love my studio now.
You finally
Now
kicked
that
me
I
out.
finally got all your stuff out.
I had to take everything I own. Some of it's
Sorry.
still outside.
That's sad.
No, it's not sad. It's good. It makes me go through things. I've been slowly going through things and bringing it in, and it's
Good.
fun.
Good. So yeah, that is what's happening. So,
Verb. That's what's happening. If you're a Schoolhouse Rock fan, people are like, what? So anyway, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Candida sends in a tip and says, "Hola, muy amigo." Is it muy amigos? I love this film. I tried to get Claudius to watch it. Now he wants to read the book. Thanks for reviewing this film. Cheers.
Yay.
Well, here's to the two of you. By the way, this is your wine, Candida.
Yes, and we still have
this
to.
is
we still
your
have to do the
wine.
English Patient with them.
We have. Oh yeah. No, we're gonna bring. For those of you who have not watched the Whining About movies, about Do the Right Thing, we had Claudius with us, and yes, we should bring. Well, they have to both come on.
Both of them, yes.
Yeah, we're gonna do an English Patient episode with Claude and Candida
Yes.
together. That would be actually pretty dope. I'd love that.
Well, we talked about it when
I know.
Claude was on.
I understand,
but
but
we
we
were
need.
too drunk to
No,
realize.
why is it I'm always too
we-
drunk? I understand this, but I'm doing a million different things. I just came up with a film festival, and now I'm throwing one. I mean, there's a lot of brain power here that's even
I
wine
know.
soaked. I have to figure out a way to make it work. So, yes.
So there you have it.
Ricky B says, I guess because I love Jessica Chastain movies, I gave it 4 glasses.
I was tempted, but I've been giving 4 glasses lately to every movie. So
Yeah, but this isn't a 4 glasses movie. Lawrence of Arabia is. Godfather is. Empire Strikes Back is.
English Patient 0.
You know what's with people? And look, I saw The English Patient. I was blown away when I saw it. I couldn't
loved
believe.
it.
I love
I've
it.
seen
I love it.
Many,
I love
many
it.
times. Although there was one time that I watched it and I was like, Ralph Fiennes is actually a dick in the movie.
He is a dick in the movie, but he's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched it in a few years.
No, he's a
so-
dick. He's a dick. By the way, I love Jessica Chastain too because she's a redhead. but she's a little severe. You know, she's a little angular.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Well, she married an Italian count.
I know. I mean, she's got it going on. It's fine. And we do get a little Jessica Chastain back nudity in this movie.
We do?
Yeah, and I like it because she's like a little bit stocky. It's good.
She's curvaceous.
I like her. Claudius is here. Red October is another reminder that the U.S. Air Force has no great film. Only Bat 21 and Dr. Strangelove. Please do not utter the words Iron Eagle. We will not accept that like the Navy disowns the volleyball scene in Top Gun. So I recommend Dr. Strangelove. Let me tell you about how shitty Iron Eagle is. Okay, I cannot tell you. I'm a kid that built a lot of aircraft models when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. You know, I loved the F-14. I loved the F-14 way before it was in Top Gun because Monogram made this amazing model of the F-14. It was 1/72nd scale. Yeah, I think it was 1/72nd scale. And the mechanism they had for the wings, it was so tight and it worked so well. Other famous Phantom. I love the Phantom F4. I love the F-15. I love the F-16. I mean, the F-16 was when I stopped building models. Mm-hmm. Iron Eagle, they would intercut shots of planes that had missiles on them and then didn't have missiles on them, and did have missiles on. And I'm like, I mean, as a kid, when I saw that movie in college, I'm like, this movie is shit. I hate this movie. It's terrible, and it just denigrates the great planes that the United States had.
Apparently Claudius doesn't like it either.
And Claudius says, and no, not the right stuff. That includes all the services. Even Ad Astra is Space Command. Hey, man, I think you're right. I mean, look, perhaps the great Air Force movie needs to get made.
Yeah.
I'm with you. So anyway, I think that brings us to the end of our show.
To the end of our show?
End of our show. So, Elizabeth, what do we say at the end of the show?
Everyone you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen.
All you have to do is listen, and
have a better night.
Have a better night. Ladies and gentlemen, before we do that, I would like to thank my moderators. I want to thank the Richard for being here. Mr. Derringer is here. I think that's who we got. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. I want to remind everyone that one of the sponsors, we are putting on a film festival. Let's go to the other camera and talk about this. The Burnettwork is putting on the very first Intergalactic Imagination Connoisseurs Film Festival. All of you can join. We open up the entries. They begin on October 1st and they close on December 1st. And you can join. This is the very first film festival in the entire history of the universe where we, the people from planet Earth, officially invite any extraterrestrials to submit a film. That's right.
Or any humans on Earth.
Well, no, any humans or any beings. I mean, if there's whales or dolphins or anyone that has adapted modern technology, we invite every single person. And remember...
Maybe Gilbert.
Maybe Gilbert. The way we look at it... Actually, we should put a camera on this, and like a day with Gilbert, and just leave it on it and leave it on.
That would be so cool. But we couldn't submit it for
No, but we could play it. Now, the policy of the film festival is that there is one race of human beings on this planet, the human race, and we are part of a much wider galactic community, which we invite. We, as the human race, one race of people, we invite all extraterrestrials to submit any film they want to between October 1st and December 1st. And if you look on the Burnettwork, we're also running a poster contest where you can design a poster. But anyway, you can make a film in the next 2 months, and Elysabeth and I will be hosting on Boxing Day, December 26th. We will be doing a very special episode. It'll be the first team-up between Whining About Movies and Robservations.
True.
We will be teaming up and giving out the awards. There are cash prizes,
yes,
and we have celebrity judges. Our first judges that we announced today Ashley Edward Miller, who wrote Agent Cody Banks, Thor, X-Men First Class, was a writer-producer on Twilight Zone, Andromeda, Fringe, Black Sails. He's one of our judges. Carrie David, the director of the great documentary Breaking Their Silence, Women on the Front Lines of the Poaching War, is there. Kevin Rubio is a celebrity judge. He made Troops. And, of course, John Campea is a judge. And I'm telling you, this is going to be great. So if you ever wanted to make films and had us or wanted us to judge you, we will. Between October 1st and December 1st, make your film.
Make your film. Now's your chance.
It is the first annual Intergalactic Imagination Connoisseurs Film Festival. By the way, we are having a poster competition. If you're an artist, you can submit.
When does that end?
That ends on the end of September, the last day of September.
Okay, so make your posters.
Make your posters. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gentle beings from across the 28 known galaxies, there you go. And with that, episode 75 of Elysabeth's Whining About the Movies comes to an end.
Yes.
Have a better night.